Happy New Year, everybody, and welcome to Reliving the Extreme. Hey, Maxson here with you, along with my brother Aron.
What's up, everybody?
And Mr. Chad Austin.
Feliz Año Nuevo.
This week we will be discussing the episode of ECW from March the 14th, 1995. Hope everybody had a good Christmas. Chad, did you have a good Christmas this year?
I think so. Jess told me I did. She
That's
said she had a good Christmas. So, I mean, her daughter did me good. When I didn't have time to go out shop, I just handed her daughter a couple $100.
They like that anyway, especially once they're old enough. My kids don't want anything from me but money. Just give me money.
Yeah, I mean, Jess really would just take anything. Yeah, it was fine. We did. I got her usual. I get her the same, like a part of the same gift every year. It's one of them Pandora gimmicks.
Mm-hmm.
It's like she loves them gimmick charms, and I get her one of them every year, and usually a perk. Oh, I forgot I got her a Ric Flair robe, but it wasn't really a Ric Flair robe. It was a J.C. Penney robe. Olivia Walker didn't make it, but I think J.J. Walker did.
Like Vince McMahon said, it's a French cut, J.C. Penney.
Yes.
Yeah.
I walked past it. It was like the ugliest color, like this ugliest dark gray color. But you know how Flair has them little things that go down the lapel?
Yeah.
You know, like the glitter kind of things. That's exactly what he had. And when I walked past it, I was just like, "Oh shit, that looks like an NWO Flair like a robe thing." So I got her that too. Yeah, it was decent. I got my figures. You know,
my daughter got me a T-shirt that had the stylization of the Godfather, but it said the Podfather. So at least I have one fan. Thanks.
Oh,
I
saw
appreciate
that.
it.
Yeah, that is cool. You steal? Would you get it off? Hey, it's Conrad.com.
I don't know where she. I don't know where she got it, but if she got it from Conrad, I'm good. She's a traitor.
Yeah. Oh shit.
Well, like I said, we're going to discuss the episode of ECW from March 14th, 1995. But before we do that, this week, Aron has material, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
On the Reliving the Extreme podcast. And this will be his making up for leaving us early last week.
Yeah. I was stuck in a hotel over Christmas because Ohio got hit with weather and I didn't want to get stranded going to work. So I was bored, stuck, and there was no bars anywhere around. So it was just me sitting in a hotel.
They didn't find you hanging somewhere?
No.
If you would have told me you were bored in a hotel and there was no bars, that's why I travel with booze.
Oh, I had booze. So I was
okay. That's all I'm making sure.
I had beer, but I was just drinking.
Travel with booze. I travel with booze and without my belt, just in case I run out of booze.
Right.
So the way this was born was Chad was telling us about the fact that he trained the Velveteen Dream and how the Velveteen Dream has turned out to be a pedophile. So I have built the Pedo Pro Wrestling.
I thought it said Pedro when you.
No, it's Pedo.
I was like, "What the fuck are we doing now? What is the Pedro Wrestling Federation?"
This is the Pedo Pro Wrestling.
All right. Now I can participate because I was just going to look at it like it was going to be your bit.
Yeah, I was going to say every match is just Pedro Morales versus Pedro from Napoleon Dynamite.
This is Pedo Pro Wrestling. Their slogan is wrestling's worst kept secret. They have a roster of 20 guys. But first we're going to do their ring announcer. The ring announcer is Mel Phillips, obviously. They have an announced team, and it is it's Rob Feinstein and the dad from Seventh Heaven. He was a pedo. Now, do you guys want the roster or the pay-per-views?
What do you put?
You really were bored now.
I was fucking bored as shit and drunk.
You know, we're doing an ECW television review.
Yeah, which isn't going to be very long. So,
okay.
So I'll give you the dark web events. You have to get on the dark web to watch these. It's bi-monthly pay-per-views on the dark web. January, that pay-per-view is called Stranger Danger. The March pay-per-view is Sex and Candy. May is Mustache Mania. July That pay-per-view is the Great American Stash. September is Indecent Exposure. And the November pay-per-view is Gobble Gobble.
Are you going to have a tag team? It's like the white panel van express.
Now, the roster is made up of 20 individuals. 10 of
Lord.
them.
Jeez. How long were you snowed in?
2 days.
Jesus Christ.
10 of them are PPW.
They're all heels, right?
Oh yeah, there's not.
Okay, I'm just making sure you ain't trying to baby face somebody.
There's no tweeners. Maybe some tweakers, but no tweeners.
Is there Peter Morales?
I didn't think of that one. God damn it! But there's 10 already established professional wrestlers, and we call them the ODs. They're the original diddlers, and then there's some PPW originals. Like they got their start in this. So here's the ODs. First, Terry Garvin, and then Art Barr.
Clearly.
Steve Gatorwolf.
Good Lord.
Buck Sumoff. He's like the John Cena of the PPW.
I was about to say the same thing. He's their John Cena because you know he's the musical guy.
Who are we talking about this?
Bob Sweetan.
Oh my God.
The Velveteen Dream. Hardbody Harrison. Bill Armstrong. Jerry Lawler.
Jerry Lawler's cutting it kind of close.
Yeah, he did. He cut it a little close. And then the Undertaker of the PPW, Grizzly Smith.
Good Lord. Are all walk into a bar.
Don't want to know anything about Grizzly Smith's streak. I'll tell you that right now.
When he comes out, they chant, "You still got it. You deserve it.
You're the diddler."
So now here's the original. All right.
Here's the original.
By God, he diddled his own children. What a legend.
These are the originals. These are like the homegrown talent from PPW. The first is the Van Man. Then we have Cyber Steve. The next guy is just incarcerated. You ready for the next one? It's Creepy Jim.
We all know one of them.
Yeah. And then
we
the next
saw one
guy
at the bar tonight.
The next guy's a mask wrestler. And it's
the always smart one.
It's a rubber formed mask, and it looks like Gordon Jump, and he goes by Mr. Horton, the Bicycle Man.
Oh no, you're not gonna shit on Mr. Horton, dude. He'll give you a free radio if you hand out the flyers. And he has arcade games in his place, and cake and ice cream and booze. I mean, do not shit on Mr. Horton.
I was thinking about him being accompanied to the ring by like the Haiti Kid.
Why? Because what's his name is dead. Arnold.
Yeah.
You couldn't get Arnold or Dudley.
The next guy, his name's just Andy. That's Andy.
Andy from up the street.
Yeah, you don't want to be around Andy from up the street. The next one is our Native American wrestler. His name is Wahoo McFingerbang.
Who are you writing with?
Is it Wahoo McFingerbang or Wahoo McFingerbangs?
Either way, it depends on the territory. The next one is a clown gimmick. He's Sniff the Clown.
That's not only a name. It's not only a name. It's also a request.
Yes. Clown. Then the next one is the Diddler on the Roof.
He's Russian. He's the Russian.
The Diddler on the Roof. And then ending out the roster, Plowboy Stranger.
That's quite a list, man.
That's Pedo Pro Wrestling.
There is one baby face, and that's whenever this is hearkening back to another episode of the show. That's whenever Stan Hansen shows up.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I forgot about that.
Stan and Chris Hansen show up together.
I can just see it. Stan shows up like he's booked, and he walks into the locker room and finds out all these guys' names and all. And
Sniff the clown.
He's all stunned, and then all of a sudden, while he's putting his match or his adventure together with whoever, that's when Chris Hansen walks in, and all of a sudden, Stan Hansen just backs out.
He's like, these guys better stay away from my big fat wife and my big fat children.
I didn't know just incarcerate a hit.
Oh, good Lord! Anything Diddle related.
The Gordon jump mask also popped me.
Dude, Mr. Horton, the bicycle guy. That's an episode. That's a 2-episode different strokes that me and Jess watched together as a family. When I DVR when I see that it's on, I'm like, you making popcorn tonight? Why? This is the bicycle shop. Mr. Horton, Dudley gets diddled. That's the greatest. It's the greatest two episodes in bullshit sitcom history. You know, when the sitcoms went from being funny to we got to have a message. Oh, they had a message, all right. I would only want to see the picture of just say there a picture surfaced of Arnold doing the timeless art of seduction, like George Costanza. I'd buy that.
Devon shows up and gets revenge because that was his cousin.
Devon.
Yeah, Dudley.
Jeez. Testify. I don't think Devon. I think Devon's so far up to WWE's ass now that he would have already taken himself out of that situation. You know what? I'm gonna call my friend the Dream over here. I'm gonna see what old Pat Clark's doing. That was some shit, man.
You didn't read me my Miranda rights. You didn't read me my Miranda rights. You didn't read me my...
That's spoken. It's coming from somebody who obviously has been in that same seat before.
It cracked me up when Cornette said that he was going to come back to wrestling and his new gimmick was going to be that his name was Miranda Rights.
Miranda Rights. That's dude. If he doesn't, he's just completely stupid. That because I mean, who's going to book him as the Velveteen Dream? Who wants to see? There's no chance. I mean, I'm sure that Maryland's done with him. I can't speak for Dan or any of the other people from MCW where he came out of that I helped train, but I can't see them bringing him back. So the only way he would ever have the chance to come back is to disappear and just reinvent himself and stop with the diddling. I mean,
that's enough.
Yeah, I know. It was hard enough for me to stop chewing my fingernails, but I eventually did it. So, Velveteen Dream, will you please just stop with the... You know what? Cut off a finger. Cut off the diddle finger. Oh, I forgot it was boys too, right?
Yikes.
The diddle finger. We got the ring finger, the pinky finger, the diddle finger.
I think it's bad when somebody gives you the middle finger. Imagine when they give you the diddle finger.
Yeah, dude, that's them fighting words.
The shitty situation.
You get into an incident of road rage, and you got to go to court, and you got to tell the judge that why you beat the guy up because they gave you the diddle finger. And then your lawyer's got to explain the diddle finger.
Well, Aron, thank you for Pedo Pro Wrestling, and it was better than the original PPW. So you got that going for you too. But before we get into this episode of ECW review, Chad mentioned in our group chat earlier something about the house shows from around this time. And all I could find, I couldn't find anything in the Pro Wrestling Torch, so I looked at historyofwwe.com because it has most house shows and things noted for ECW, WWE, and WCW. And the only ones that I could find other than the February 25th ECW arena show that we see footage from on this show, there was one March 3rd, 95 at Northeastern Catholic High School in Philly. Tommy Dreamer pinned Stevie Richards. Dino Sendoff and Donnie Allen defeated the Tasmaniac via disqualification in a handicap match. Dean Malenko fought Too Cold Scorpio to a 20-minute draw. The Sandman beat JT Smith. Sabu pinned Nishimura. Public Enemy beat Hack Myers and Mikey Whipwreck, and Douglas beat Tully Blanchard. And then after this show aired, March 17th, and Jim Thorpe, Raven beat Hack, 911 beat Tony Stetson and Johnny Hotbody, Dean Malenko beat the Tasmaniac, Cactus Jack beat the Sandman, Public Enemy beat Ron Simmons and Too Cold, and Shane Douglas defeated Tommy Drew. So I don't see Hector. I know you said Hector made you think of something, but I don't see Hector on either one of these shows.
Well, that's weird, because this is I mean, do we have any knowledge of Hector? Must have came back again, right? He had to have, because we did a show at, it was like in a Mexican, a Latino like kind of bar or kind of a venue, and that was the first night that the new ECW show, the Open, debuted with the 9 Inch Nails and the White Zombie thing, because like I remember Hector being there, and then Paul brought a tape and he put it into the system, and he had all the boys gather around.
Okay. Does the name Big Apple Dinner Theater ring a bell to you?
Probably, yeah. That probably is it.
Because February 24th, I'm sorry, no. Yeah, in Kennett Square, Pennsylvania, February 24th, the main event was Shane Douglas pinned Hector.
Okay, that probably makes sense. But yeah, that was the night that it reminded me. It was because Hector, unless he came back again, I was like, that was the night that Paul gathered all the crew around all the monitors in that venue, because it was like a club, club kind of thing. And he put it on without any introduction to it. He was just telling everybody to watch the monitors. And there was the ECW Open that we all came to know, with the 9 Inch Nails and the and then we all clapped and everything. And Paul got up on the thing and thanked everybody and all this stuff. And that's the only reason why I was just wondering, because that to me was like, it was like a memorable moment,
Right.
Because because it was a skeleton crew, not so much a skeleton crew, but it wasn't an ECW arena show because it didn't have all the extras, people in the locker room. It was everybody who was booked on the show and all the necessary, employees.
It totally makes sense, because it says here that you on this show, you actually wrestled on the show. You got beat by Taz, so that makes sense. You were there, so that's probably the show you're thinking of then.
That was probably the show where Taz called the spot where he wanted me to give him a Frankensteiner over the top rope. He was going to catch me, right? Like he'd be on the floor, and I go over the top rope, land on his shoulders, go for the Hurricane Rana, and his little fucking sky low ass. He caught me too high on my legs, like so. I don't know how he did it, dude. I'll give him all the credit in the world. He didn't let me hit my head, but I was just a matter of just a couple of inches away from bashing my head on the concrete. And the deal was I was supposed to get the Hurricane Rana on the floor, but he was going to turn it into a power bomb or whatever. That bitch picked me up by my legs while I'm dangling. While I'm dangling there, he shimmied my body back up to his, so he could put me back into that power bomb position. And the floor had like sawdust on it and shit. I don't know what the hell they were doing. The boot scoot and boogie and some shit. I mean that whole run was weird. Some
sawdust and some peanut shells on the floor.
That whole entire little run of some of them buildings that Paul used to run were just some of the, the Montgomeryville flea market. Like it was just, it had to have been economics, right? Like he got it for, next to nothing. He had somebody go out and look for a place that was pretty much going to go out of business and just needed somebody to come in and do something. Wow. And this was the hour that was going to take us to the extreme.
Find me a dump.
Yeah, I mean, one that we can fuck up worse than what it was when we, and they're not even gonna know who did the damage to it, because I'm sorry, this place was already fucked up when we got here. You gotta explain that to Clancy, the janitor. The guy who ain't been. His only job was to unlock the building just so you can get in. So you fuck it up and you just explain to him that that's how it was when we got here. Wow, those buildings, man. That's a whole other story.
Well, the episode we're covering here of ECW, of course, as I said before, March 14th, 1995. We open the show. They're back. They're back. Very prominent on this week's show. The Public Enemy have returned. They're reading a contract. And as we go through the show, and I got to say, at least they told a story through the show with this whole deal. Public Enemy trying to get a contract signed for a triple threat tag team championship match with themselves, Malenko and Benoit, and Sabu and Taz. So we start with Joey Styles with the Public Enemy, and they're mocking Joey Styles. Anything about this intro, guys, that with PE?
I just put my first note is the Public Enemy appears trying to pretend they can read.
Well, obviously, God damn, Aaron. I mean, obviously they were killing time. Like they were just flopping papers around. You know what I mean? Like they were just that was kind of like I don't know what it was. Just filler, I guess you'd say, because nothing really became, But they were going to get this contract signed. That was the whole point of it, right?
Right, and the next segment we kind of get well, the first sign gets there. The first half of the contract gets signed because we get Joey is with Paulie Dangerously. Paulie cuts a promo on all the happenings from the last ECW show on February 25th. He talks about Dean Malenko and Taz wanting a rematch with Benoit and Malenko. I'm sorry, with Sabu and Taz wanting a rematch with Malenko and Benoit. Public Enemy's in, 911's in, and of course they want to get the contract signed. And I believe at this point in the show is with Paulie. I don't think there's another segment with Paulie. I think he does sign the contract.
Yeah, the story I think they're trying to tell is that Benoit and Malenko don't want to give Sabu and Taz a rematch, like a one-on-one rematch. And then this triple threat thing kind of falls into Paulie's lap, and he's like, this is the way I can get my guys in the ring.
It was a way to get Public Enemy over.
Yeah.
Like throw him into the mix with top talent. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it was great because you're right. You're right, Aaron. I was like, Paulie I bet you he figured that shit out by accident. He was like, oh shit. Now what are we gonna do with these guys, over here? Now we got to figure out something to do with Public Enemy. Let's throw all 6 of these guys in, which couldn't have been good for Rocco Rock and Johnny Grunge. I mean, match-wise, quality-wise, there's no chance that none of the other 4 guys were really going to sell. You know what I mean?
Right. It's like, all right, you got this lineup here. You got a Ferrari, you got a Lamborghini, and you got a Chevette.
And a couple of escorts. Oh, Johnny, he stole the wrong car.
Why'd we get a Yugo, Johnny?
I thought it was all right, man. I mean, I kind of got a little chuckle out of it when Grunge using the phone gimmick. And whose phone was that?
Oh,
it
looked like Paulie's phone, but it wasn't.
Well, I mean, because did Joey say that was my phone, or did Joey say, hey, that's Paul's phone?
No, they said he stole Paul's phone.
Snowball.
Not stole Paul's phone.
I thought he said it was Snowball's phone. Who the fuck's Snowball?
Snowball
He's in wrestling.
Yeah. He's their Orange Cassidy.
His hands are always in his pockets.
Yeah.
He's freshly squeezed. All right. We get Joey Styles back on screen, and he talks about how Too Cold Scorpio is back, and he is looking for the man that injured him, Dean Malenko. And then they show us highlights. They showed us the whole match of a match between Hector Guerrero and Too Cold Scorpio at the ECW arena, which Too Cold wins. But again, you've got a lot, like you said, Chad, you got some filler in this show. Why couldn't they show me more of this match?
I think I know why. If I recall correctly, Hector didn't take to the ECW faithful. It wasn't. I think they were expecting a better Guerrero, or at least wanted a better Guerrero. I think at this point they would have taken Vicky.
I wonder if there were gobbledygooker champions.
No, honestly, I don't remember that because there was a level of respect.
Mm-hmm.
It was almost kind of like the same kind of level of respect as Tully, but Tully was obviously turned up a notch or two, but just the fact that these smart fans got a chance to see Hector Guerrero, probably for the last time they were ever going to see Hector Guerrero come back, and he looked relatively good. He was the classic. It was the classic guy like Tommy Rogers, Steve Williams, all them guys that went away for a while and came back and wanted to reinvent themselves. And ECW was a perfect platform for them to see where they still stood, within the business. But yeah, Hector didn't take, except for in that one place with the sawdust and the peanut shells on the floor.
I think and it's not because they're both Mexican guys or whatever, but it's kind of like Tito going to ECW. It's like, it's not really his style of a promotion. The deal with Hector would probably.
That's one thing about the wrestling business that's funny is that you're dealing with so many different races. It's kind of like hard to be racist, you know what I mean, in the wrestling business, because you have to be friends with black guys and and Hispanic guys.
Yeah.
It's
I'm
weird.
I'm not trying to say like the race thing. I was just saying like.
Oh no, I know you weren't.
I just think like Hector's style just it wasn't really gonna do well in front of that crowd. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't have a hard edge. There's not a hard edge to Hector Guerrero.
No, and they would need to give him a lot of time to get that stuff over. But Paul wasn't going to invest that much time, and because Hector was probably only in for the 3 days or whatever it was that he was there. He wasn't going to invest a 35-minute, 40-minute match so Hector can go out there and show you how he gets into these intricate moves. There's much more to it, but Hector had to dumb it down, and therefore, like I said, he didn't take.
Well, after we get the footage from Too Cold versus Hector, we get Joey and Public Enemy back again, and this is the part where Joey's wallet and watch go missing, obviously, and they wind up, like you guys mentioned, with Paulie's phone. They're still going on about the contract. And then we show Shane Douglas, and he is in New York City, driving around New York City, and he wants you to call the hotline to find out why. And obviously, at this point, we're in March of '95. The rumors are flying that Shane Douglas is going to be joining the World Wrestling Federation,
which isn't until July.
No, I mean he debuts on TV in July, but it's the WWF, so I'm pretty sure he probably signs by.
Yeah, 90 days prior, I guess. That's about right?
And how smart is it to just go ahead for Paulie, especially in this era where a lot of things weren't acknowledged by promotions about other promotions. If you're just going to be that promotion, I guess it's smart to just acknowledge it, and say the big guys want one of our guys because our I don't know, our organization's so good or whatever. Right. I guess that's what you're trying to portray,
Yeah, and it's also it's a recognizing. You're right. It's a recognizing. We are what we are, and we are lucky enough that we were even on their radar, that they found somebody here that they, you know what I mean, that they wanted. That just gives us credit, because I mean, it would have not done anything for the company for Shane just to leave.
No,
just say finish up. Just how they,
and how much more heat does that get Shane in the time that he's going to be left if they know that he's negotiating with the WWF?
Man, it's also the genius of Paul. Paul always acknowledged when somebody was going to the WWF or WCW from ECW, because Paul loved to make it where ECW was the underdog and the victim. You know what I mean? We have been victimized by these two major corporations again. They are taking our talent. You love them. They are taking them because we have the best talent, but we can't keep them because we're the victims. So, I mean, it's all that psychology, and it's why the fans that were ECW fans loved that promotion so much. They felt like they were part of something.
We're the victims that Vince McMahon is taking our talent, but I'm also going to not acknowledge the fact that Vince is paying me because
we're talking about Paul Heyman here.
Yeah, it's like I'm not going to mention that Vince gave me $5,000 because I told him, well, Shane leaving is going to hurt me a little bit in my bookings.
Yeah,
that.
That's the best is that Paul cried it, and then Vince was behind it. But at honestly, to tell you the truth, at this point, the involvement it was way smaller than it had become. Way smaller than it become. It was only that's the only reason why Shane got 3 months or whatever notice out of this, because it was just like the invasion hasn't started. Like the whole rating of everybody hadn't even started yet. This was probably Vince's a barometer of how easy it was going to be to fuck ECW over. But, let's see if we can get their top fucking guy. What's it going to take? You know what I mean? And we'll see how fragile they are.
You're going to notice, everybody, as we go through the history of ECW, you're going to notice, you'll definitely know when Vince is starting to give Paul some good kickback. And the reason I say that is there comes a point where they portray WCW as the ultimate. The WWF's there, and they're taking some of our, but WCW becomes the ultimate villain because they're not the ones giving Paulie money. I mean, it's plain and simple. That's the long and short of it.
What did Dreamer say in that one documentary? He said that Paul saying you joining WCW was the equivalent of joining the Taliban. Like, how bad.
Did he say Taliban?
Taliban ban, whatever the fuck.
The Taliban can. The Taliban can.
Well, we get Joey back here talking about Ian and Axel Rotten.
Eel's better.
Eel Rotten. They're illegitimate third brother.
They both stink.
We get an Ian promo, and he goes through this whole thing about Axel being the bastard child.
Nate's trying to run down what Ian's doing, and just in the background you just hear it's
fucking terrible. He said, our mom taught us murder, kill, blood, kill, murder, blood, kill. He just keeps saying the same fucking words over and over again. You know that? Yeah. In Walk the Line, in like the Johnny Cash movie where the dad's like, the wrong son died. Like, that's all I keep thinking when the fuck you look at the Rotten brothers. It's like the wrong one died.
Jesus.
Why is Egan still around? Or why is that fucking fat slug still around?
Now he's Egan. Did you just call him Egan?
Negan. What?
Egan.
Are we talking about Walking Dead?
Wow, I'm talking about how fucking terrible Ian Rotten.
I agree.
He looks like a beanbag and sad on.
What?
Said he looks like a beanbag that's been sat into, like an old beanbag.
A Big Joe. Beanbag Rotten.
Beanbag Rotten.
Good Lord, Aaron, are you okay? Are you having problems? I know where you work from, and I know that the holidays can be kind of stressful. But Jesus Christ.
Beanbag Rotten. That's funny.
Joey then narrates footage and shows us some footage of a barbed wire baseball bat match between Axel and Ian at the last show from February 25th. And then, of course, Axel cuts a promo, which isn't terrible.
Good. It's good.
Yes, it is good. And he's talking about settling family business. We need to settle this family business. If a bat wrapped in barbed wire can't settle it, we have to find something that will. And of course, we're heading, I think, toward the Taipei deal, I believe, at this point.
Yeah, we're totally heading towards the Taipei deal. The Ian stuff was rotten, no pun intended. Axel's good, dude. If one thing Axel could do everything good. That's the funny thing is I don't know what happened to Axel. He and when it comes to TV promos, he's like a one-take Jake, or at least he was. I don't know if he's still cutting promos. I doubt that nobody's going to see him. But yeah, he was a one-take Jake. Axel was good, man, and he's a good director. Because when we used to do like way back in the early '90s, indies together. We used to cut TV for a Maryland company. Axel was only like a year older than me. he's directing, promos, and he's dealing with guys that are in their 40s that have been in the business 20, 25 years, and he's telling them what, how to direct and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So he ain't stupid.
No, he always seemed to me, promo wise, and when you watch him in the ring, to have great psychology, to know his character, to know the business. Did he ever? I know this is we're looking way ahead here. Did he ever appear on the WWE version of ECW when it was on Sci-Fi? Do I remember him being on there at one point?
Once.
He was on for like briefly, like
yeah. He did like the invasion thing. Like he was part of the group of the invasion thing. You know what I mean?
Okay,
it's almost like being, it's like, it's like putting a hat on a hat. There it was. I got it in tonight. Because they just grabbed a bunch of jabroni ECW guys, to gather around, and it's Axel. But Axel got like 1 or 2 matches on TV. If you watched it, he got like 1 or 2 matches on TV, either with balls or he may had a semi kind of squash thing or whatever.
I think he and Balls did have a match at the one night stand. I think
they would have had to have, just so they could play Balls' music.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, like I said, it always surprised me that when they revamped ECW, just knowing the talent that he was.
Yeah, I thought I got confused. You were talking about like WWECW, like when they were on Sci-Fi.
On Sci-Fi.
He wasn't on that.
Because I was just always surprised that he wasn't someone that was part of that, just because he seemed like, and this isn't a knock on him at all.
He had his issues, and that's why they didn't want to.
Dude, he was the perfect guy. When you look at the old time posters, when it has like the old Mexican posters where it has the main event guys and then it has the whole entire supporting cast around them, and then he's the perfect guy you throw into that, second or third spot where it's a picture you would recognize. Oh, Axel Rotten.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'll send you I'm going to screen cap a poster that I got, I think, of Axel and E that are going to fight in IWA. And you look at the poster, you go, oh, that, you could totally see where Axel would fit and you would recognize him automatically in a thing. It's the fact that he's just starting to get over now. At this point, he's just getting over in ECW, and then like kind of time is running out. Mm-hmm. It sucks because I hate to say it, but it ended up being kind of true. New York guys were number 1, and Maryland guys were a close second when it came to Paul's booking. And it's obvious when you just, you look at the fate of everybody that came from Maryland that worked there and everybody that came from New York that worked there. And Axel ended up but Axel was his own worst enemy at the end of it. But
yeah, but that's what I was saying. I don't want to say it's like 100% true, obviously, because I wasn't there and whatever. But I did hear that time when he went there during the invasion thing, he wasn't like the best behaved guy or whatever. So that's probably why when they did ECW Sci-Fi, they probably didn't want to. They're like, oh, he didn't do good.
He wasn't invited back. He wasn't invited back after the first gimmick, because he's the only guy that I know of that asked for his money up front, like for doing the gimmick, because he no-showed. He did. They were supposed to do I guess, I don't know, what was Shotgun Saturday Night still a thing, or was there anything before this? Because they were supposed to do a dry run of something similar the night before, and Axel completely just no-showed it. Like, he went to New York, he got himself to New York, and then he asked for a draw, his money up front, and then they didn't show up for whatever it was. So when he, the next day, it all just fell apart. You handed Axel, $2,000 or whatever it is,
and when you're going to see him again.
Yeah, well, about 45 minutes, maybe. Yeah, it got pretty bad for the guy, man, and it sucks because I knew what Paulie loved him, man. I knew Paulie loved him because he did so much with him, and Axel knew so much, but he just couldn't get it together. And this was just the beginning of it. for Christ's
Mhm.
sake. Like, it gets way worse as if you guys, not even with ECW, with everything. You start hearing that Axel stories with, with Ian and all this other stuff, and he's showing up in different towns, and he doesn't even know. He thought he was booked in, and he's asking promoters to book shows like immediately just because he's there. Hey, I'm here. I'm
Put
in Des
something
Moines.
together.
Yeah, who can you get? Oh, poor Axel.
Well, then they show us the footage that we already saw last week of Malenko and Benoit attacking the Public Enemy in the ECW arena. And then they show us the ECW Tag Team Championship match, Taz and Sabu versus Dean Malenko and Chris Benoit. And this is a fantastic match.
Again, yeah.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it because last week they showed highlights, but they didn't show near as much of the match. So I was happy that they actually showed the match this week. There's a lot going on, a lot of high spots, obviously, with Sabu involved. And I know I noted the crowd is very hot. Chris Benoit takes some 6 suplexes.
Right.
And they did the smart thing too, where they get the whole situation where Taz is eliminated from the match almost, so that you can get in your Sabu spots, so he can be the highlight. They just did a really good job of breaking this match up to highlight all 4 guys individually at different parts of the match. I guess it's just the simplest way to say it.
In my opinion, it was great in theory. I just thought Sabu wasn't good. I just thought it was one of them nights where Sabu wasn't on. Like, he was hitting the spots like kind of half-ass. Like, not half-ass, and he wasn't trying them good to do them. He just wasn't. Sabu's not Rey Mysterio.
Right. Well, that's what I was going to ask you, because hindsight 2020, looking back on it historically, and especially you as a worker, as much as it was fun to watch Sabu at the time, Chad, is Sabu solid or is Sabu sloppy?
Oh, he's sloppy, and I don't even think Sabu would even argue that fact. I mean, there's no way he has to know that he's not Rey Mysterio. There's no way that he doesn't. And it's just it's sometimes I don't know. I don't even want to give it a percentage or whatever 50-50 kind of thing. It is what I'm the same way. Mm-hmm. I'm the exact same way. I'm not Rey Mysterio, and there's a bunch of moves that I tried to do that I either stole from Sabu or I stole from Rey that I've done on shows that didn't come off so great. And then I tried them again. And if it didn't come off so great again, then it was like, all right, I obviously can't. I think the first one was the split-legged moonsault that I couldn't do it. I always twisted my body on the way over. I never hurt anybody. It just didn't look good, Right. And then I realized it didn't look good. But Sabu, he just isn't good. You know what I mean? He's not smooth. And that looks great. It looks great on camera for effect, right? I mean, sloppiness in wrestling is an art. That's awesome because we bitch all the time, or I bitch all the time about how the matches look too good. They're way too Ricochet against like Ricochet matches are just like you put them on like at the circus kind of thing.
Well, and I am in no way. Don't get me wrong; they're both fantastic. The matches are fantastic, etc. But that's how I kind of feel about the so holy, held in such high regard trilogy between Steamboat and Flair. I'm not saying they aren't great matches, and I'm not saying they're not great performers, but in those 3 matches, very rarely does it look like a fight. It looks too smooth.
Well, I will say
I would say that Austin and Bret Hart from WrestleMania 13 is better than Steamboat and Flair for that reason. And I mean, I'll die on that hill, and it is what it is. It's personal preference, but
here's my rebuttal to that. Austin and Bret was personal. Steamboat and Flair was professional. So you weren't going to see the punching, the stomping, the kicking, the dirtiness, in the Flair Steamboat because there was too much respect there. And I mean, I don't know if you understand or that makes sense, but the Bret Hart, Steve Austin, there was heat, and when you have heat, that's when people start to punch and kick and do all that other stuff. But no, I totally agree. I mean, I understand what you're saying. That it's 2 different styles of 3,
like I
great
said,
matches.
I was gonna say, like I said, you guys know I was in no way shitting on those matches. They almost look too, like you were mentioning about Ricochet. It almost all looks too smooth. After 45 minutes, somebody's got to be pissed. You know what I mean? Like, Jesus Christ. Anyway, we got off the beaten path there.
The only note I had, and it was because watching the reaction from the crowd and this, that, and the other thing, and I know we talk about how there wouldn't be an ECW without Terry, but is Sabu just as important to ECW as Terry Funk right at the start of it?
Yeah, Sabu.
You know what I mean?
Sabu was ECW.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like we talk about Funk got the attention because this legendary guy's doing it, but Sabu was the guy that it's like you got to come and see that. You know what I mean? And I think I think just as important to that.
It was that classic case of Terry can't. It was like just put Terry Funk in the Andre spot. Terry can't make every town. You're not booking Terry Funk every single month. And who do we have that can draw just as much as Terry Funk and give the crowd something different and remind them of Terry Funk? You got Sabu, and at that point, man, in '95 at this time, Sabu was he was hotter than Tanya Tucker on a Saturday night in 1983. But yeah, you had to have Sabu. Yes. You couldn't afford to lose him.
Yeah, and like you were saying, I know he's sloppy or whatever, but it just kind of it added to it, in my opinion. I don't want to picture perfect Sabu. I want the Sabu that he might fall off the rope and have to jump up and do it again. You know what I mean?
Well, the only problem with sloppy Sabu, can we get him in the bed? What is it called? The Pedro Wrestling. What is it?
The Pedo Pro Wrestling.
Yeah, can we get sloppy Sabu?
Sloppy Sabu.
Can we get him in there? But that's what makes it so it's so good because it looks so real because it is so sloppy. But at the same time, it sucks. It sucks to be the people that got to take all this shit because you got knees flying when he does like them springboards and stuff like that, and he's flipping all over the place, making an ass out of himself, and he's landing on you, and because it's up to you to catch him. And it's up to him to do the best job that he can of performing the spot. That's all you got to do is just rotate your body, you dummy. Jeez, whiz.
Well,
so it wasn't necessarily sorry.
No, that's all right.
I'm just saying, like I don't want to say he wasn't like a dick about it or anything, was he?
No. I mean,
he nicked you or whatever on something stupid. Was he like, hey, sorry about that earlier? Or
yeah, he fucked me up. He fucked me up. And he did it, and I mean, I heard different stories. I heard that it was on purpose, but he said that it was. He apologized. He was like, "Dude, I put the table way too close to the ring apron, so I had no choice but to cannonball through it because I had nowhere to go. I didn't have a chance to launch myself to prepare for it. I just went as soon as I went over the top rope. I went through the table where you want it, and I was like, yeah, I walked away. We finished the match.
That was just something I was interested about him. Like, I didn't know if he was just a guy like, hey, you got in the ring with me, the style I work, or if he was like,
shit, he wouldn't have lasted a month in that locker room with that attitude in ECW. Fuck no. Somebody in that locker room would have fucked him up. I mean, I'm just being honest. There's no chance that he walked around with that kind of attitude. Like, it is what it is. Like if you were your uncle, maybe, but you're not. But yeah, he would definitely apologize, and he knew he wasn't the greatest. I mean, that's what made it look so great. It looked real.
Public Enemy, or I'm sorry, not Public Enemy. Malenko and Benoit wind up winning the tag team championships after, like I said, I really enjoyed this match. And then we get your standard ECW chaos afterwards. Public Enemy comes out. 911 brings Taz back out to the ring. There's choke slamming of referees, et cetera, to end this thing. But the long and short of it is the team of Benoit and Malenko are the new ECW tag team champions. Then we get Public Enemy in the back with Jason, who apparently, according to the story here, he still has the contract of Dean Malenko. Therefore, he can dictate what's going to happen with Dean Malenko and Chris Benoit. the Public Enemy's trying to intimidate Jason, and then the pit bulls come in and attack.
Yeah, and then the worst thing ever happened.
A pit bull promo.
Yeah. The interview was going everything was going so good, and then all of a sudden Gary Wolf decided, I want to talk.
Pitbull House.
Yes, dude. Oh, good Lord. Dude, that stuff was good, man. That was a great package. Everything I thought was well produced, and I didn't even really think I don't think there was a reason for the pit bulls. Not Jason. I said the pit bulls. I don't think there was a reason for them to talk unless it was just an ego thing.
Yeah,
they wanted to get their shit in.
I totally agree. If they would have just let Jason cut the Jason promo and say, if you can beat my pit bulls, I'll sign the contract, that would have been perfectly effective.
The pit bulls,
yeah.
The pit bulls are a team that if you're going to put Jason with them anyway, then just don't have them talk. You know what I mean? It's kind of like when they put Fuji with the powers of these two fuckers.
Oh, come on.
But no, I'm saying they look fit, but physically they look fantastic. But neither one of them are great at promos, so let's put Fuji talk for them. You know what I mean?
Well, that's like saying there's no room for number one Paul Jones to talk on the microphone. No, if you're gonna have a jabroni manager like that, you gotta have him. My thing is, I like the worst stuff. Yeah, you can't talk. Put him on TV. Let's watch him talk, and then, and then we'll see what we can get out of it. But Jabroni Pitbull interview, yeah, not so great.
The Pitbull number 2, he that's what I was saying. You can tell Pitbull number 2 knows his promo ability because he keeps it fucking short. He keeps it short. He knows I'm not a fucking promo.
He don't have to be either.
Right. Yeah, he looks like a fucking badass. That's the point.
At this point, his reputation is getting out there, man. Everybody knows that Anthony was a world beater, and and he didn't have to say much. He's like Paulie Castellano. He didn't have to say much. Everybody just knew. I would hate to owe somebody money and they would have to send. Well, now I wouldn't mind, but back in the day, if I owed somebody money and they sent Anthony after me, and he shows up wearing a leather underwear and chains around his neck,
what's gonna happen to me?
How's my night gonna turn out?
Am I gonna die or get raped or both?
Can I share this on YouTube? Can I post this?
But yeah, the gist of this whole deal is that Jason is willing to sign the contract for the Public Enemy on behalf of Malenko and Benoit if Public Enemy can beat the Pitbulls this Saturday night at the ECW Arena. And then we get to round out the show, we get some promos from Shane Douglas, Mick Foley, Woman, Sandman, and Terry Funk. And everybody, again, this is Shane and Mick are fine here, and I'm a big fan of Mick Foley promos, but this one was just average. But again, just much like last week, Woman and Terry Funk bring the show home with the best possible.
I actually liked Cactus's take on it.
Oh, I didn't say I didn't like it. I just talking
about how he wasn't going to take Funk's picture down or throw his autograph away. He was just going to, because he still thought Funk was his hero. But he take the man down and throw him away. And Shane's promo was just Shane's promo. I was glad he wasn't talk fucking me, but it's just I thought everybody did a good.
So did I. I thought it was exceptional.
He's got some other old guy.
I thought Mick was great. I mean, Mick painted a tremendous picture of what he thought about Funk. He did. I mean, we all have them guys. I don't know who you guys in Ohio have. What do you guys have? The OVE guys? Pictures on the walls? You're gonna tear down your John Moxley posters.
We gotta go out of state for our heroes. Sorry.
Frank Williams.
I get to choose between Al Snow, The Miz, and Dolph Ziggler.
Brian Pillman.
Yeah, Brian.
Okay. Okay. But you still have Al Snow. And who else did you say? Brian
The Miz and Dolph Ziggler and Alexa Bliss.
Well, then there you go. There's your winner right there. She's from Columbus, Ohio, but you still have Frank Williams.
Yeah. There we go. He's from Columbus, Ohio.
That's why I love when they.
And he's got bigger.
That's the only reason why I love when they still announce Alexa Bliss when they announce where their hometowns are. Because Alexa Bliss, they always say from Columbus, Ohio, and I expect Frankie Williams to come slobbing her out there. No, we don't get it. He's been dead for 35 years.
We got Neil Armstrong. He went to them fucking.
Well, he stinks. He never got beat up by Piper.
Who'd Neil Armstrong ever beat?
Yeah, Gravity. we're comparing Neil Armstrong to Frank Williams. There's a guy who broke like the sound barrier and shit. And there's another guy who just got beat up by Roddy Piper awfully. And it was the worst Piper's Pit ever because he couldn't even knock him out of his chair. The chair slides.
When you put that wide ass in that fucking little chair, he ain't gonna fall out. Surprised he got in.
I'm from Columbus, Ohio.
Well, overall, gents, what did we think of this week's episode of
Did we watch one? I thought we were just beating people up for no reason today.
It was there. That's really all I can say about it. Nothing happened really. It just kind of was there.
It was essentially another one of those shows that was a
placeholder.
It was a heavy Public Enemies episode. It was essentially furthering the Public Enemy plight, I guess, to get into the tag team scene again, having lost the titles.
And again, it goes back to the fact that when they do all them promos, is Paul has access to fucking Teddy and Johnny. Mm-hmm. They can cut promos from wherever they're at, either send them in or Paul can drive out to them. So when Paul needs time to fill, it's, hey, Johnny. That's what he does. Hey, Johnny, we need like 3 minutes to fill. That's exactly how it was. It was a decent show. I didn't have a ton of notes, so it was probably good. So that means I didn't write a ton of jokes about how bad things were.
And it never lost me. I stayed engaged the whole 45 minutes.
I just get tired of the recap stuff, man. That gets on my nerves because even today, I watched it before the lovely Miss Jess picked me up. And I was telling her about, she's like, what were you doing? I was like, watching the show, whatever. And she's like, let me guess, they did a recap. And I said, yeah. And she said, of what? I went, and as soon as I said Sabu, she said Sabu and Taz versus Benoit Malenko. And I was like, yeah. And I said, I popped huge and I said, you even knew the people's names? Because that's how far removed she is from watching it. But she's seen so many of this that she's like, these 6 guys are still fucking. Oh no, it's the same match.
Yeah, it's the same match.
She thought it was like the fucking the Belomos who are the Samoan guys in WWE, the tag team champ. The Usos, the Belomos.
The Belomos.
Yeah, that's what she thought it was. That's what we call it pretty much the guys we don't know their names. The Belomos.
Well, guys, before we sign off, any parting words for our listeners this week? Anything you want to say? Anything you want to plug?
Aaron, you first. Because I said something.
Just happy New Year. Thanks for listening. And big things are going to be happening with the whole podcast network going forward. Look out for that.
I don't know anything about any of this.
I don't either. I just know Nate said big shit's going to happen.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
I'm a promoter. That's what we say.
Oh, so you're working the talent.
Whether it's true or not. Yeah.
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 Fucking Paul Heyman. You're Paul Heyman. You're lying to us. None of us get paid.
So basically, Aaron, what you're saying is we gotta look for another booker because we're getting sold down the river for Archie Mitchell.
These guys, I was about to say next week these guys will be working with Archie. I'll be out of the picture.
Yeah. As far as I got, I do have the only thing that I do have coming up is I do have a big update for my my videos. Me and Jess spent some time upstairs and we rearranged a bunch of stuff. and I'm going to be uploading on Chad's Video Vault. It's a Facebook group page. Go to the page and just sign up. I accept everybody, even the little girls from India or whatever, that send me dirty pictures. I allow them into my group too. So you never know what you're going to find in my group page. But I have a big update coming because I came across some good stuff. And yes, gentlemen, I did come across some 5-star.
All right. That's what I'm talking about.
And I haven't viewed it yet, but I just saw the DVD and I said, oh, 5-star it is.
Did you look at the DVD and go, yep.
Oh, dude! My eyes lit up and I popped, and I actually set my beer down on the windowsill because I had to brace myself. So I put my hand next to my beer when I found it. It was like, oh, I had to take a deep breath. It was like, oh, I didn't even know I had this, or I knew I had it, but I don't think that's the one that I knew that I had. I think this is a different one. This could be like the other 5-star. There's got to be more than just 6 hours of it, but it can't be more than 12, right?
It's 5-star from. We're gonna call it 5-star from the vault. That's what
yes. I'll be promoting that.
But yes, everybody, check out Chad's Video Vault on Facebook. It is that simple. Just type in Chad's Video Vault and you will find Chad's page. And of course, join us on the WrestleNet Radio podcast. And well, right now it's the We Can't Wrestle podcast page, but in a couple of days, it's just going to be the WrestleNet Radio podcast page. I'm converging them all into one because that makes it easier for me on Facebook.
So we can listen to any show anytime again.
No. I'm taking. We have a reliving the extreme page. We have a WrestleNet Radio page. Blah blah blah. I'm just going to merge them all into one, so I can just manage. But we're going to do that. There's stuff coming on YouTube. I have a YouTube page that I've started. I haven't put anything up yet, but I'm going to be making some videos for that in the new year, and et cetera, et cetera. So, yes, I said big things coming. I hope they're big things coming. Let's call it that. But that being said, I want to thank Aron, thank Chad for joining me and joining you, everybody, this week. And thank you for joining us. And we will see you in 2023 as we continue reliving the extreme. Have a great weekend.